second graders, today we're doing lesson 1, setting goals. I can identify goals to make me a better writer. So the first thing I need to do is take out my old pre-assessment from before we started personal narrative writing, and I need to take out my post-assessment that I just wrote. So I'm going to review both of them and think about how I improved. I was at Disneyland with my mom. I was 8 years old. We were sitting in a boat on the ride Pirates of the Caribbean. I'm scared, I whimpered. It's not that scary, my mom replied. But what about the drop over the waterfall, I whispered. It's not very steep, my mom said in a comforting voice. The boat ahead of our boat went down the drop. It will be over soon, I thought to myself. As the boat crept closer to the drop, I felt my heart beating faster. Suddenly, we went down the drop. I took a deep breath. I beamed. I did it, I exclaimed. That wasn't so bad, was it? My mom replied. A few minutes later, we got off the ride and started to walk around Disneyland. I watched as people shot down the steep water slide on Splash Mountain. Are you ready to try it? My mom asked. Not yet, I replied with a grin, but someday I will be. So I'm noticing that when I looked at this, that some things I did well are I did use some dialogue here. I did show character feelings, like here when I said I took a deep breath, I beamed, so I'm showing some character feelings there. I'm also showing character feelings here. I felt my heart beating faster. And then something I really needed to work on was I noticed that I didn't really use capital letters at the beginning of my sentences. And I really didn't use quotation marks. So now let's look at my new writing, my post-assessment, now that we're done with personal narratives. It was winter at Mount Rose. I was at the top of a steep mountain. Majestic green trees stood tall against the icy landscape. So I noticed right there I used sensory details. The cold wind whipped against my cheeks. I breathed in the crisp mountain air. I looked down at my red skis. I hope I can do this, I thought. So there's an inner thought. I looked at my dad, who was a few feet down the mountain. You can do it, he shouted up. So I did use some quotation marks there. This is way harder than you said, I stuttered. So there I'm showing some character feelings with stuttered. I took a deep breath and stepped off the ledge. I looked down at the huge mogul. My heart raced. I slowly turned around the first mogul. Okay, I did it, I thought. Now the next one. I turned around the next mogul. This time it was a little easier. I started to ski a little faster. Each mogul seemed easier than the last. Soon I reached the bottom of the mountain. I turned my skis to stop. Snow flew into the air. I did it, I thought. I turned to my dad. Can we go again? So I noticed that here I also used quotation marks. So when I look at this, something I noticed that I did a lot better is I actually used capital letters at the beginning of a lot of my sentences. I also used some quotation marks, but I'm also missing some, like here. This is way harder than you said, I stuttered. And so I'm going to look at the checklist and see what I'm missing and what I did well. So let's look at the fairy tale checklist. I used sensory details. So I definitely think I did a pretty good job with that. I included dialogue and inner thoughts. I think my story has a strong beginning and ending. I showed character feelings. Now, this is something I need to work on. I didn't consistently use periods, question marks, or exclamation points. I did not consistently put quotation marks around dialogue. And even though I used correct capitalization at the beginning of every sentence, I did not use it for the specific names of places. Like here, when I said it was winter at Mount Rose, that's a specific place I didn't capitalize. I'm also noticing I didn't capitalize the word I sometimes, which I need to add to here. So we should also capitalize the word I. So I'm missing this one. and specific names of places. I indented paragraphs and I did use neat writing. Okay, so now I'm going to write some goals. So my first goal is going to be, I will use capital letters for specific places in the word I. That's something I know I need to work on. Another goal I have is that I need to work on consistently using quotation marks around dialogue, even though I improved, and inner thoughts. So I'll write, I will use quotation marks around dialogue. My final goal is I will use periods, exclamation points, or question marks at the end of sentences. Okay, second graders, I'd like you to review your personal narrative pre-assessment, your personal narrative post-assessment. Think about how you have improved. Then I'd like you to look at the fairy tales checklist and think about what you still need to work on and write 3 goals.